Hello everyone, welcome to LBS IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss politics MCQs based on previous year UPSC questions. So let's start our session. Our first question is, consider the following statements. Statement number 1, there are 25 high courts in India. That is correct. Statement number 2, Punjab, Haryana and Union Territory of Chandigarh have a common high court. That is also correct. Statement number 3, National Capital Territory of Delhi has a high court of its own. That's correct. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Here answer to this question is option C. All the statements are correct. As of now, the number of high courts in India is 25. The high court is the supreme judicial body in a state. According to Article 214, each state of India shall have a high court. However, Article 231 also mentions that Parliament may by law can establish a common high court for 2 or more states or for 2 or more states and a union territory. There are 25 high courts in India, 6 having control over more than one state or union territory. Delhi has a high court of its own among the union territories. Each high court shall consist of a chief justice and such other judges as appointed by the President of India. So here answer to this question is option C. All the statements are correct. Consider the following statement about minorities of India. The Government of India has notified 5 communities, namely Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists and Zoroastrians as minorities. That is incorrect. India has notified 6 communities as minorities. The National Commission for Minorities was given statutory status in 1993. That is correct. The smallest religious minorities in India are Zoroastrians. That is also correct. The Constitution of India recognizes and protects religious and linguistic minorities. That is correct. Which of these statements are correct? Here answer to this question is option C. Statement 2, 3 and 4 are correct. With the enactment of National Commission for Minorities Act 1992, the Minority Commission became a statutory body in 1993 and was renamed as National Commission for Minorities. In 1993, 5 religious communities, that is the Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists and Zoroastrians, that is the Parsis, were notified as minority communities. In 2014, Jains were also notified as minority community. At present, 6 religious communities have been notified in Gazette of India as minority communities by the Union Government all over India. National Commission for Minorities functions under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Minority Affairs. The term minority is not defined in the Constitution. However, the Constitution recognizes religious and linguistic minorities. The smallest religious minority in India are Zoroastrians, that is the Parsis concentrated in Maharashtra. So here answer to this question is option C. In what way does the Indian Parliament exercise control over the administration? Options are through parliamentary committees, through consultative committees in various ministries, by making the administrators send periodic reports, by compelling the executive to issue writs. Here answer to this question is option A, through the parliamentary committees. Representativeness, responsiveness and accountability are the foundational pillars of parliamentary democracy. In India, Parliament has broadly 2 functions, which are lawmaking and oversight of the executive branch of the government. Parliament is the embodiment of the people's will and parliamentary committees are an instrument of parliaments for its own effective functioning. Indian Constitution mentions 2 kinds of parliamentary committees, that is the standing committee and ad hoc committees. Any subject related to these committees is dealt with Article 119 subclause 1 of the Indian Constitution. So her answer to this question is option A. Which one of the following statements correctly describes 4th schedule of the Constitution of India? Options are distribution of powers between union and states, languages listed in the Constitution, 3 legislative listed in the Constitution, allocation of seats in the Council of States. Here answer to this question is option D. 4th schedule deals with allocation of seats in the Council of States. There are 12 schedules in the Constitution of India. 4th schedule contains a provision in relation to allocation of seats for states and union territories in the Rajya Sabha. 1st schedule deals with names of states and union territories. 2nd schedule deals with provision for allowances and privileges. 3rd schedule deals with oath and affirmations. 4th schedule deals with allocation of seats. 5th schedule deals with administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. 6th schedule deals with administration of tribal areas in Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura and Assam. 7th schedule deals with union list, state list and concurrent list. 8th schedule deals with 22 official languages. 9th schedule deals with land reforms. 10th schedule deals with anti-defection law. 11th schedule deals with panchayats and 12th schedule deals with municipalities. So her answer to this question is option D. Which of the following is or are stated in Constitution of India? Statement number 1. The President shall not be a member of either House of Parliament. Statement number 2. The Parliament shall consist of President and 2 houses. Choose the correct answer from the quotes given below. Here answer to this question is option B. Both 1 and 2 are mentioned in Constitution of India. Article 59 states that the President shall not be a member of either House of the Parliament or of a House of the Legislature of any state. And if a member of either House of the Parliament or of a House of the Legislature of any state be elected President, he shall be deemed to have vacated his seat in that House on the date on which he enters upon his office as President. Article 79 states that there shall be a Parliament for the Union, which shall consist of President and 2 houses to be known respectively as Council of States and House of People. So, statement 1 and 2 are mentioned in Constitution of India. So, here answer to this question is option B. Assertion statement. The reservation of 33% of seats for women in Parliament and State Legislature does not require constitutional amendment. That is incorrect. Reason statement. Political parties contesting election can allocate 33% of seats they contest to women candidate without any constitutional amendment. That is correct. So, here answer to this question is option D. Assertion statement is false, but reason statement is true. Assertion statement is wrong as reservation of women in Parliament and State Legislature would require a constitutional amendment. But reason statement is correct. If the Prime Minister of India belongs to upper house of Parliament, that is Rajya Sabha. Option A, he will not be able to vote in his favor in the event of no confidence motion. Option B, he won't be able to speak on the budget in the lower house. Option C, he can make statements only in upper house. Option D, he has to become a member of lower house within 6 months after being sworn in. The answer to this question is option A. That is, he won't be able to vote in his favor in the event of no confidence motion. A motion of no confidence motion against government can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. A no confidence motion is parliamentary motion which is moved in Lok Sabha against the entire Council of Ministers, stating that they are no longer deemed fit to hold positions of responsibility due to their inadequacy in some respect or their failure to carry out their obligations. The Constitution of India does not mention about either a confidence or a no confidence motion, although Article 75 does specify that the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. A no confidence motion needs a majority vote to pass the House. To become an Indian Prime Minister, one has to be a citizen of India, a member of either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. He should have completed his 30 years if he is a member of Rajya Sabha, or can be 25 years of age if he is a member of Lok Sabha. So, her answer to this question is option A. Consider the following statement. Article 301 pertains to the right to property. That is incorrect. Right to property is a legal right, but not a fundamental right. That is correct. Article 300A was inserted by Constitutional Amendment. That is also correct. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? Here answer to this question is option B. Statement 2 and 3 are correct. Article 301 provides that freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse in the country should be free throughout the country. So statement 1 is incorrect. In the original constitution, right to property was a fundamental right under Article 31. But 44th Amendment Act 1978 repealed Article 31, Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause F and inserted Article 300A to make right to property a legal right. So here answer to this question is option B. Statement 2 and 3 are correct. Consider the following statements. Statement number 1. Article 371A to 371I were inserted in the Constitution of India to meet regional demands of Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, Andhra Pradesh, Sikkim, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh and Goa. That is correct. Statement number 2. Constitution of India and USA envisage a dual policy but a single citizenship. That is incorrect. Statement number 3. A naturalized citizen of India can never be deprived of his citizenship. That is also incorrect. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? Here answer to this question is option A. Statement 1 is correct. Article 371A to I deals with special provisions to Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Sikkim, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh and Goa. All these provisions take into account the special circumstances of individual states and lay down a wide range of specific safeguards that are deemed important for these states. So statement 1 is correct. The Constitution of India envisages a single policy for both Union and states. But USA, on the other hand, each person is not only a citizen of USA, but also a citizen of particular state to which he belongs. So statement 2 is incorrect. A person can acquire citizenship by naturalization if he or she is ordinarily resident of India for 12 years and fulfills all qualifications in the third schedule of the Citizenship Act. They can be deprived of citizenship if they acquired citizenship by using fraudulent means. So statement 3 is also incorrect. So here answer to this question is option A. Statement 1 is correct.